Hello once again, gamers of all shapes and sizes. My name is Nick Pell, and this is my top 10 list for video games in 2013, as you can see by the title of the video and the footage that you are seeing. I have been doing top 10 videos for the last week or so, and this is no exception. This one just takes a lot longer because I have to get footage for everything that I didn't originally have footage for and compile it and make this nice fancy video. So yeah, definitely check out the other top 10 videos up above, and yeah, I will have links to any of the video games that I reviewed on this channel so far when I talk about said game. Yeah, look for that. Not all of them have footage though, just a few of them, so keep that in mind as well. So we will go into it right now with number 10. Number 10 is Injustice: Gods Among Us. This is a fighting game from DC, I think, and it did something that most fighting games don't really do, and it had something of a story, and that was something that impressed me. The story in Injustice is essentially that Superman has gone rogue because Lois Lane has been killed by the Joker, and he becomes this dictator, for lack of a better word, and has some superheroes and supervillains on his side who fight with him. And in a separate universe where this doesn't happen, Superman and his, our reality-esque people have to go and try to take down this wrong Superman, and it's very complicated, but it worked really well, I thought. And the fighting system is cool. It has these little knockout things where you can change the arena if you do a correct combo and take someone out in the correct fashion, which I really liked. And overall, I just had a good time with Injustice. I played through it once and just really had a good time with it. So, yeah, Injustice: Gods Among Us, my number 10. My number 9 on this list is a game which has not gotten great critique since it came out, and that is Dead Space 3. I mainly have this on here because, as far as I understand it, this is the last game in the Dead Space series, and I actually had some fun with it. I thought that this was going to be just a very big shooter game, and wasn't going to be scary whatsoever, and you were going to have someone with you the whole time, and that was going to deter from the horror aspect of it. And for me personally, it really didn't. I had a good time with Dead Space 3. Yes, it had some shooter aspects to it where you're actually fighting live people this time instead of just necromorphs, but there's a fair amount of necromorph fighting. There are situations where you get surrounded by these guys, and it's very tense and it's very exciting, and just a bunch of different things like that. So yeah, it had a good story. It wrapped it up fairly well. And yeah, Dead Space 3 is my number 9 choice. The next game on the list is a reboot, and this is DMC Devil May Cry. This is a game that I was anticipating for a very long time. I didn't really get into the original Devil May Cry games. I played, I think, Devil May Cry 4, and I just got bored of it because you end up going through the same areas just with tougher enemies after about halfway through it. So going into this one, I was a little hesitant, but I rented it from GameFly, and I really, really liked it. It had a really interesting story. It was a little predictable, but just the way that they did it was really nice. They have a lot of the same features that the original Devil May Cry games had, and it did enough to make itself unique and a new part of the franchise. So I really hope that there's a sequel to this at some point. I would really enjoy it. And so yeah, DMC Devil May Cry is my number 8 choice for 2013. Number 7 is a game which I started the original PlayStation 2 version of when I was much, much younger, probably like 11 years ago or so, and it is Kingdom Hearts 1.5, and this is the final mixed version of this game. It was originally only available in Japan, and now they're re-releasing a bunch of the Kingdom Hearts games in this type of format in anticipation of the Kingdom Hearts 3 release in 2015. So this year it's 1.5, which includes Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, and then the cinematics for 358 over 2 days. And next year it'll be 2.5 with Kingdom Hearts 2, Birth by Sleep, and the cinematics recoded. So this is Kingdom Hearts 1.5, and while I'm not done with it yet per se, I am really enjoying it, and it is a very fun game. It is bringing back a lot of memories for me as a kid, just playing through it. A lot of the areas seemed a lot easier than I remembered. The Chain of Memory system follows the Game Boy Advance version, where you have like a card system and you have to attack using those. That's fun. You continue that story, and you get to, it's basically the bridge between Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. And then cinematics for 358 over 2 days. I would have liked to see some new cutscenes using like fighting and showing the missions, but instead it's just all dialogue. But as a whole, I am really enjoying Kingdom Hearts 1.5, and it definitely deserves a spot as my number 7 choice.
But be forewarned. When your sleeping memories awaken, you may no longer be who you are now.
Number 6 on this list is Beyond Two Souls. This is a game that I played a lot of, and it was a lot of fun. And you will get a review for it coming shortly. And the game follows a girl named Jody, and she has this connection to a supernatural being named Aiden. And he and she have been linked ever since her birth, and she can have him do certain things. You as the player control Aiden when she needs him to do these certain things. You can control Aiden at your will for the most part, but then you can't control Jody. But the story is just really interesting. It's a little hard to follow sometimes, but it is really interesting as a story to play through, and just seeing the changes that Jody goes through during her time as this person, and seeing how she kind of finds meaning in her life and tries to find where she belongs and all this type of stuff. Because you as a player play as her from her younger years to, I don't know, probably 30s, maybe early or late 20s, and it's just a really interesting game, and it sets up something of a sequel at the end, and it got me really looking forward to it. You can have a more detailed review when I get to it, or click the annotation to see my more detailed review. So, yeah, Beyond Two Souls, my number 6. And now we are in the top 5 games of 2013, and this is a highly coveted spot, I like to think at least, and these are the best of the best in my opinion. Keep in mind that I did not play every single game this year, so you might have played something that was great, and I did not, so it's not on here. So, and I also didn't include arcade titles, so Walking Dead and Wolf Among Us and that stuff won't be on here. And so for number 5, we have Grand Theft Auto 5. This is a game which was very highly anticipated. It sold, I think, over 1 billion copies, I think, something high up like that, first 3 days of its release. And it is a very well done game. I really enjoy it. It's got a great story. You follow the lives of Michael, Franklin, and Trevor, who quickly become associated with one another. Originally, when you start out playing, they live totally separate lives, but eventually they end up with each other at some point, and they do missions together. And it's just like what you expect from a Grand Theft Auto game. There's bank robberies, you can go on killing sprees if you want, and car chases, and Grand Theft Autoing, and just a bunch of different things. And just the open worldness and the variety and plethora of different things that you can do as side quests and all that type of stuff really keeps the game going for me, and it's something that I really enjoy. I haven't really gotten to touch on GTA Online yet, just because I've been busy with stuff, but yeah, I've heard that's great as well. So, GTA 5, my number 5 choice for 2013.
We need to split up. They're going to be looking for a crew. I'll wire your cuts when the rocks have been sold.
That shit was crazy, dog. So what now?
We get out of here. Keep our heads down.
Hey, you did good, kid. What'd I tell you, Lester, huh? Mm-hmm. All right, look, everybody take off. Hey, Franklin. Listen, Lester and I got some things we gotta clean up. I want you to stop by the house a little later on. We'll celebrate, all right?
All right.
Okay. Huh? Mm-hmm. Oh, man. We're back in action.
My number 4 choice is Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. I've been a fan of the Assassin's Creed franchise for a very long time, and so it's not really a huge surprise that this is in my top 5. AC4 covers the story of Edward Kenway, who is a pirate, and it's based. He doesn't actually become an assassin until the very, very end of the game, and even then it's not really official. You follow his life and you see how he becomes kind of involved in this dispute between the Templars and the Assassins, and just seeing his life and the things that he strives for, and seeing him kind of come to a realization of what's actually important and what is worth fighting for. That, and plus the game is immensely open world. I spent a large amount of time just going to all the islands, doing all the objectives there, and just having a good time with it. Yes, the gameplay can get a little bit repetitive sometimes, but in and of itself, it's a really, really fun game. I played the DLC, and that was a lot of fun. And so, yeah, Assassin's Creed 4 is definitely a worthy contender for my number 4 spot on this list.
Tell me I'm under arrest. Tell me!
Number 3 is The Last of Us, and this is a game which has been loved and got so many perfect scores, it's not even funny. This game follows the journey of a man named Joel and a girl named Ellie, and just them getting to the West, I believe. And the game does a lot of really good things. There's a really good combat system. It makes you feel like you actually have to hunt for supplies, and you can't just waste ammo willy-nilly until the very end of the game. I don't know, it's just a really, really fun game. The story is really interesting and intricate, and there's a lot of morality, and each different section that the game is split into details a different part of the story, and it's just done in such a way that you get to really get to know these characters and just kind of go on the journey with them in some aspects. So The Last of Us is definitely one of the best games I've played this year, and I really hope that Naughty Dog will do a sequel of some sort in the future. So The Last of Us is my number 3 spot.
You're dead. Here we go.
And now number 2. These are 2 games that I was debating between in my head for a while, and I eventually came down to it. And my number 2 spot is BioShock Infinite. This is one of the best games I have played in a very long time. This game is the 3rd game in the BioShock series, following BioShock 1 and 2. And it follows the story of Booker DeWitt, and he is a man who has a very interesting past, and you see that unfold as the game develops. And he is sent up to Colombia in order to find and track down a girl named Elizabeth. For unknown reasons, he has to go find her. He breaks her out of her prison-esque situation, and it's basically him trying to get her back off of Colombia and going on this huge adventure and seeing all this different stuff. And it's got a very interesting ending that has been talked about a lot when this type of stuff happens, and it's just a really, really good game. The combat system works really, really well, and I just really, really enjoyed BioShock Infinite. It's definitely a game to play if you have not played it already. Definitely one of the best games of 2013, if not in the last decade, I would probably say. So BioShock Infinite is definitely my number 2 game of 2013.
I baptize you in the name of our prophet, in the name of our founders, and the name of our Lord. I don't know, brothers and sisters, but this one doesn't look clean to me.
And my number one game of 2013 is probably one that nobody really expected to be at my number one, and that is Tomb Raider. This is a game which I was able to become engrossed in more than any other game this year. The only one that might have come close is Beyond Two Souls, just because that story is so story driven. I felt that Tomb Raider was a lot of that same thing. I basically went through the majority of Tomb Raider's story in my first sitting, and that was a very long sitting because the story is just so interesting, and it was one of the first games in a while that didn't have achievements based on story progression, and except for like finishing the game itself. And that was something which kind of allowed me to actually sit back and enjoy the story instead of just working to finish a mission in order to get an achievement or whatnot. And just following the origin story of Lara Croft, who we all know becomes this famous excavator of tombs. We see her from innocence to this person who can handle herself and take out guys who are twice her size if she needs to. And I just personally found it to be a really, really interesting story. It was very emotional, very gripping, and the gameplay in and of itself was a lot of fun. I loved the upgrade system. I loved the side quests and the exploring and just all this type of stuff, and I thought it worked really, really well. And it's definitely a game that I would go back and play in an instant if I had the time to sit down and just play through it once again. So, yeah, Tomb Raider is definitely my number one game of 2013. It's not necessarily the best game to come out this year, but is the one that I had the most fun with and the one that I enjoyed more than any other game this year. So that is my top 10 list of 2013 for video games. Let me know what your list is down in the comments down below, and I would love that immensely. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe if you so choose. I'd appreciate it immensely. And yeah, that is about it. As always, my good people, my name is Pell, and as always, keep on gaming.